Imagine a world where every word you speak carries the weight of wisdom, where your voice is respected, not because of its volume, but because of its value. What if you could inspire admiration simply by saying less and listening more? Welcome to this transformative journey through the ancient wisdom of Stoicism. In this video, we will unveil the secret power of fewer words and explore how legendary figures like Marcus Aurelius and Seneca mastered the art of speaking less to command respect and influence others. Stay with us as we share profound lessons, inspiring quotes, and an incredible story of how the power of silence can change your life. If you're ready to transform your relationships, boost your confidence, and gain the respect you deserve, watch till the end. Let's dive in. 1. The power of fewer words. To start our journey, let's understand what Stoicism says about speaking less. The Stoics were philosophers who believed in controlling what we can, letting go of what we can't, and focusing on inner peace. When it comes to speech, they taught us to use words wisely, speak only when necessary and with intention. It is better to remain silent and be thought a fool than to speak and remove all doubt. Often attributed to Abraham Lincoln, this saying aligns with Stoic principles. Words are powerful, and too many words can reduce their impact. Have you ever met someone who speaks so little, yet everyone listens intently whenever they do? This person doesn't need to shout or fill the air with endless words. Their presence alone is enough. This is the power of fewer words, a concept that the Stoics perfected long ago. The great Stoic emperor, Marcus Aurelius, once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This wisdom applies to our words too. By controlling what we say and focusing on what matters, we gain a kind of strength that commands respect. 2. The quiet leader. Let me tell you a story of a leader named Leo. Leo was the quietest person in his group of friends. Whenever there was an argument, Leo would sit back and listen. He never rushed to share his opinion, and he was careful with his words. People often thought he was too quiet. But one day when his team faced a big problem at work, everyone was arguing, shouting over one another. Then Leo spoke, calmly, clearly, and concisely. He suggested a solution that no one else had thought of because they were too busy talking. His few words changed everything, and his team solved the problem. From that day on, his colleagues respected him deeply because they knew that when Leo spoke, it mattered. He didn't waste words, he used them wisely. The wisdom of silence. Let's hear another captivating story about how speaking less has helped someone gain respect. Picture a young boy named Alex, who always felt the need to speak up in class. He thought talking more would impress his classmates and teachers. But what happened instead? His words often came out rushed, sometimes incorrect, and people started to dismiss what he said. One day, Alex read about Marcus Aurelius and the power of speaking less. He decided to try something different. Instead of always having the first word, he chose to listen. In discussions, he waited, observed, and spoke only when he had something valuable to contribute. Within a few weeks, Alex noticed something amazing. His classmates started turning to him for advice. His teacher complimented him on his insightful comments. By speaking less, Alex gained more respect. His words had become like treasures. Everyone listened because they knew he spoke with thought and intention. 3. Less is more, a Stoic adage. The Stoics understood that words are like arrows. Once they're released, you can't take them back. Seneca, another great Stoic, once advised, "As long as you live, keep learning how to live." Part of learning how to live is understanding when to speak and when to stay silent. Imagine if every word you said carried weight. If each time you opened your mouth, people stopped to listen. This is the power of fewer words, used effectively. The less we speak, the more people pay attention when we do speak. Why fewer words gain respect? When we speak less, we project an aura of confidence and wisdom. This is because people often perceive those who talk less as being more thoughtful and trustworthy. The more you talk, the higher the chances of saying something you'll regret. Stoics like Marcus Aurelius believed that silence is a form of self-control, a virtue they highly valued. Speaking less allows us to think more. It helps us avoid saying things we don't mean and gives us time to consider the impact of our words. Think about a time when you said something in the heat of the moment, only to regret it later. The Stoics teach us that by practicing restraint, we can avoid unnecessary conflict and maintain our inner peace. Imagine you're in a heated discussion. Instead of responding right away, take a deep breath, pause, and consider whether your words will help or harm. Often, the best response is no response at all. This approach will make people see you as calm, wise, and in control, traits that automatically earn respect. 4. Gaining respect by listening. Listening is an underrated skill, but it's the key to gaining respect. When we listen, we understand. And when we understand, our words become more meaningful. Marcus Aurelius often wrote about listening to others without judgment. He believed that by genuinely listening, we can respond in a way that's helpful, rather than just reacting out of emotion. In our modern world, where everyone wants to be heard, those who take the time to listen gain the most respect. Marcus Aurelius once wrote in his Meditations, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." This is a reminder that we don't need to use words to prove our worth. Actions speak louder than words, and by embodying our values silently, we can inspire others more powerfully than through speeches. Seneca also had a beautiful perspective on words. He said, "Silence is a lesson learned through life's many sufferings." Sometimes it's through our hardest moments that we realize the value of holding back our words. Silence can be a way of processing, understanding, and ultimately growing stronger. 6. How speaking less affects relationships. Speaking less doesn't mean being distant or cold. Instead, it's about making sure that what you say is meaningful. In relationships, whether at work or at home, fewer words can lead to deeper understanding. When we listen more, we truly understand the needs and feelings of others. Quote from a legend, "When you talk, you are only repeating what you already know. But if you listen, you may learn something new." The Dalai Lama. This quote beautifully sums up why fewer words can be more powerful. When we listen, we grow. The balance, when to speak and when to stay silent. Stoicism doesn't teach us to be silent all the time. It teaches us to find the right balance. There are times when speaking up is important, when defending a loved one, or standing up for what is right. The key is to speak with purpose and clarity. Common misconceptions about speaking less. Some people think that if you speak less, you might come across as shy or uninterested. But in reality, choosing your words carefully shows that you are thoughtful and intentional. It's not about being quiet. It's about being wise with your speech. How great leaders use silence. Many great leaders throughout history have understood the power of silence. Mahatma Gandhi, for example, often observed days of silence. He believed that this practice gave him clarity and strength. By speaking less, he could communicate more effectively when it mattered most. 7. Embrace the power of fewer words. The power of fewer words lies in the impact they can create. When you choose your words carefully, people listen more intently. When you speak with intention, your words carry more weight. Stoicism teaches us that self-control is key to a meaningful life, and controlling our speech is a big part of that journey. Speak only if it improves upon the silence. Mahatma Gandhi. The impact of fewer words in history. To truly understand the impact of fewer words, let's take a closer look at history. Many of the most influential figures understood that power does not always come from what is said, but from what is left unsaid. Abraham Lincoln, master of silence. Abraham Lincoln was known for his powerful speeches, like the Gettysburg Address, but he also understood when silence spoke louder than words. During critical meetings, Lincoln often listened far more than he spoke. This earned him the nickname, the Great Listener. His silence was strategic, allowing him to understand the true thoughts and motivations of others before responding. The influence of Marcus Aurelius. He was not only a philosopher, but also a Roman emperor, which meant his words carried immense weight. He knew the power of restraint in speech, and in a position of such influence, he understood the potential consequences of his words. This is why he often chose silence. In his writings, he emphasized that a leader should not feel pressured to speak just to fill the silence. Instead, They should wait until their words truly mattered. 8. Silence in modern life, an everyday example. Let's bring this wisdom into modern life. Imagine you are at a work meeting and everyone is rushing to make their opinions heard. The room is filled with chatter, and it feels chaotic. But you, inspired by Stoicism, decide to take a different approach. You listen carefully, making notes and observing others' perspectives. When the moment is right, you share a few carefully chosen thoughts. Thoughts that sum up what others are trying to express but haven't been able to articulate. Suddenly, the room quiets down and people turn towards you. By speaking less, but with clarity and confidence, you've become the voice of reason. You've gained respect, not by overpowering others, but by showing that your words are valuable and that you've taken the time to understand the problem deeply. Practical application. In your next meeting, try this out. Let others speak first, and take time to understand their viewpoints. When you do speak, aim for precision. Share something that adds value rather than repeating what's already been said. 9. Marcus Aurelius on restraint. The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. What we think about constantly shapes us. If we think before we speak, we are shaping a soul that is considerate, thoughtful, and intentional. Marcus Aurelius knew that our words reflect our inner selves. Thus, speaking less allows us to ensure that what we express is truly aligned with our values. Seneca on the art of speech. We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that we can listen twice as much as we speak. Seneca's wisdom here tells us that nature intended for us to be more receptive than expressive. Listening, absorbing, and learning are the true paths to wisdom. While not a Stoic, Laozi, the ancient Chinese philosopher, offers a complementary view. Silence is a source of great strength. The wisdom here is universal. Silence, when used properly, becomes a sign of inner strength, not weakness. 10. The science behind speaking less. Did you know that psychology also supports the idea that speaking less can lead to more respect? Studies have shown that people who practice selective speech, meaning they choose their words carefully, are often seen as more intelligent and trustworthy. This is sometimes called the less is more effect. The halo effect. The halo effect is a psychological phenomenon where people attribute positive traits to someone based on a single characteristic. In the case of selective speech, when you speak less, but what you say is impactful, people start to see you as more thoughtful, intelligent, and capable. Your restraint in speech sends a signal that you are not desperate for attention, which often leads people to respect you more. Real-life example. Workplace dynamics. Think about a coworker who always has something to say, regardless of whether it adds value. Over time, people might start to tune them out. Now think about another coworker who rarely speaks, but when they do, everyone stops to listen because they know that person always offers something insightful. This is the power of fewer words in action. 11. The role of self-control. Self-control is a major component of Stoicism, and it extends to controlling our speech. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, taught that we have control over our actions and responses, but not over external events. This means that we can choose our words, even if we can't choose the circumstances. Epictetus on speaking. First learn the meaning of what you say, and then speak. Epictetus is telling us to fully understand our thoughts before we express them. This is a powerful practice that can help avoid misunderstandings and conflicts. Speaking less in conflict. One of the most powerful applications of speaking less is during conflict. When emotions are high, it's easy to say things we don't mean. By practicing restraint, we can avoid saying hurtful words that we might later regret. Real-life example. A family argument. Imagine a heated argument between siblings. One sibling, overwhelmed with emotion, begins to say hurtful things. The other, instead of responding in kind, chooses silence. They take a deep breath and allow the moment to pass. This silence becomes powerful. It diffuses the argument and prevents further escalation. By choosing not to engage, they demonstrate control and maturity. 12. Lessons from nature. The silence of the snow leopard. Even in nature, the value of silence is evident. Consider the snow leopard, a solitary animal known for its elusive nature. The snow leopard moves silently, rarely seen by humans, yet commands an immense amount of respect in the animal kingdom. Its silence and stealth are its greatest assets, allowing it to navigate its environment with grace and power. The snow leopard as a metaphor for life. Just like the snow leopard, we too can navigate our environments more effectively by embracing silence. We don't need to announce every move or intention. Sometimes it's our quiet presence that leaves the strongest impact. The influence of Gandhi's silence. Mahatma Gandhi often observed a day of silence each week, believing that refraining from speech helped him to focus his thoughts and recharge his spirit. This practice not only allowed him to maintain inner peace, but also made his words even more powerful when he chose to speak. The strength of silence in activism. Gandhi's silence was not a retreat from action. It was a strategic move that made his voice more powerful when he needed to speak on behalf of millions. When Gandhi did speak, people listened because they knew his words were carefully chosen and deeply considered. His silence was, therefore, an act of strength, not weakness. 13. Practical Stoic tips on speaking less. How can we apply Stoic wisdom to our everyday lives? Here are some practical tips to help you harness the power of fewer words. Pause before you speak. Before saying anything, take a moment to consider if it's necessary. Marcus Aurelius often wrote about the importance of being deliberate in our actions, including our speech. Practice active listening. Instead of planning your response while someone else is speaking, focus entirely on what they are saying. Seneca believed that true wisdom comes from understanding others, not just expressing your own thoughts. Ask yourself if it adds value. Epictetus, another great Stoic, taught that our words should benefit others. Before speaking, ask yourself if your words will add value to the conversation. Embrace silence. Silence can be powerful. It shows that you are comfortable with yourself and do not need to fill every moment with noise. Practical tips. How to practice speaking less. Pause before you speak. Take a moment to think about whether what you're about to say is necessary or helpful. Listen actively. When someone else is speaking, focus entirely on what they're saying. Don't just wait for your turn to talk. Use fewer words. Try to convey your thoughts as simply and clearly as possible. The fewer words you use, the more impactful they will be. Ask questions. Instead of giving your opinion right away, ask questions to understand the other person better. This will show that you value their perspective. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the Stoic wisdom of speaking less. Remember, fewer words can lead to more respect, deeper relationships, and a better understanding of the world around you. If this video inspired you, don't forget to like, share, and comment below. Let us know, how will you start using the power of fewer words in your life today? Subscribe for more Stoic wisdom, and until next time, keep growing, keep listening, and remember, true power often lies in the words left unspoken.